women, what did your crush do that made you decide that you wanted to have their baby? My husband Damien and I met in 6th grade, but we weren't childhood sweethearts, at least at first. Damien is one of the sweetest and most popular kids you could ever meet. There was something pretty strange about him. Despite being so popular, he always sat alone at lunch, far away from his friends, with nothing more than a container of apple slices and chunky peanut butter. Maybe it was because I thought he was cute, or maybe I was just curious but was determined to understand why one of the top athletes in our school isolated himself at lunch. I asked people on the baseball team, I asked my classmates, I even asked his ex-girlfriend, and she didn't know why either. It was a mystery. So the next day, when I saw Damien at lunchtime, I grabbed tenders and chocolate milk from the lunch bars, headed toward his table, and plopped right down in front of him, pulled out my hand and said, "I'm Luna. This seat taken?" He reluctantly shook my hand, and said, "Not really," and went back to eating his food. Once I sat down, he offered me an apple slice with peanut butter. I told him no thanks, I'm allergic. He became nervous and said, "Really?" I laughed and answered by eating one. He looked horrified at first but then realized it was a joke, and we hit it off from there. We started having lunch every day together, and we would talk about everything. We would talk about the fights that would happen after school, or what it was like traveling for his baseball team. We always had the same thing for lunch. I'd have my tenders and chocolate milk, and he had his apple and butter, or on special occasions he'd bring clementines and would peel one for me. Yeah, before it was a trend. I'd practice having debates with him, and he even came to my competitions, and I'd come to his baseball games. We became quite the couple back then. When Valentine's Day came around, I wanted to surprise him with homemade brownies, but with my own twist on it, peppermint crumbles on top. I spent 5 hours making the box of brownies and forming the letter D out of peppermint crumbles. I put my entire heart into those brownies. I wrapped them in a pink and white box, and brought them to school the next day to surprise Damien. When I saw him across the lunchroom, his face lit up when he saw me. But when I approached him and he realized my gift was a box of brownies, his face sank. I gave him the box and told him I put my heart into every crumb just to show how much I appreciated him. I couldn't believe what happened next. Instead of expressing his love for me, he quietly handed me a homemade card. I still have it in my dresser, took the box, said thank you, and walked away. I sat there dumbfounded. 10 minutes passed, then 40, and the lunch bell rang, snapping me back to reality, and I headed to class. I spent the next classes zoning out, thinking about why Damien left me in the dust like that. Did he secretly have a girlfriend already? Why did he leave me? After school, I found his baseball team loading up their bus for a game, and I nearly cried because they were the ones eating the brownies. I stormed over to them and asked why they were eating Damien's brownies and where the hell they got them.